This video is on the big picture of finance. Now, if you work in finance or you work in accounting, it's really easy to get caught up in the details because your job involves a lot of activities like creating financial statements or calculating out equations or sifting through mounds and mounds of data. And when that's what you do in your job, it's really easy to get caught up in the details and lose sight of the big picture. Now, it's really important you don't lose sight of the big picture of what's going on because it's really quite amazing. So what do I mean by the big picture? Finance is an important role that enables the flow of capital through economies. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking through this idea and what's happening on a very high level, on a macro level. And probably the easiest way to talk about this is to talk about what happens over the course of someone's career. And over someone's career, everybody generally goes through 3 phases. And it doesn't matter what career you're in, everybody goes through these phases. And the phases are the young economy phase, the wealth building phase, and the investment phase. So let's start by talking about the young economy phase. What's happening in this phase is this is the young generation first entering the workforce. And so these people generally don't have a lot of experience. They generally can't command high salaries, and they're just learning. They're learning how they fit into the economy. But something really important happens in the young economy phase. Because what you see is you see a lot of energy enter the workforce. You see a lot of new ideas and new perspectives on how to do things, and new ideas on how to add value to the economy. So that's the young economy phase. And then next, we move into the wealth building phase. And so what you do in this phase is you start to gain more experience. And as you gain experience, you're able to command a higher salary. And you start accumulating more wealth. And what's really happening is you've taken your ideas from the young economy phase and you've figured out how to add value to the economy with those ideas. You figured out how to make money. And so most people spend the majority of their career in this wealth building phase. And then finally you have the investment phase. And what characterizes this phase is a switch, where you move from reliance on income from your work to relying on your investments. Now, this might be entering into retirement, or this might be taking a step back from the workforce. But it's this change in priorities from your work to what's going on with your investments. So these are broad generalizations, and there's going to be crossover between these phases because clearly, a young person can still invest. But it's helpful to think in these phases because everybody goes through this progression. You start out in your career, you build wealth, and then you retire. That's generally the progression we see happen. Now, here's the cool part. In order for this progression to be effective, you need something called capital markets. Because what's happening is there's this transfer going on, this transfer of wealth from the older generation to the new generation. And this transfer of wealth happens through investing, which happens through credit markets. And that's where finance comes in. Because finance is providing this set of tools and this set of processes that's helping you make financial decisions. So if you're someone with wealth, what you're doing is you're looking at all of these young new companies and you're trying to figure out which one of these companies has the best ideas. Where can I put my wealth where it's going to generate the most value for society? So that's what's going on a macro level. And that's what finance is all about. It's about fueling these capital markets and providing the fuel for the economy. So here's the reality. The reality is that we're all going to die someday. Everybody. And so the value that we've created through our careers, we're going to transfer to the next generation, who's then going to pick up the torch and to carry that forward and to find new ways to create value. That's what we're talking about here. I mean, this is the whole progression of society that we have seen through the generations. That's how economies work and grow and continue to develop. So here's the important point. If you work in finance or you work in accounting, your job is nothing short than being the fuel for the economy and helping to the flow of capital through the economy. So if you're an accountant and you're generating a set of financial statements, what you're really doing is you're enabling your organization to participate in capital markets. And if you're a financial analyst and you're analyzing the movement of markets, what you're really doing is you're enabling those markets to work more efficiently. Or if you're a financial auditor and you're going into companies and auditing their financial statements, what you're doing is you're adding credibility to those financial statements that enables capital markets to work. So if you're involved in finance or you're involved in accounting, what you're doing is you have this role, and it's a very sacred responsibility to enable the flow of capital and make economies work. And that's the big picture.